Hi, I'm Laura Stiles, and I am from Kansas. Went to school in Kansas and then went out to Colorado for graduate school and just finished my PhD out there. And I am a Scholar Award winner from PEO. So I heard about the Scholar Award when an email came out through the department. Our department chair is a woman, and she was very excited to hear about the opportunity because in aerospace there aren't a lot of women. At Boulder, where I did graduate school, at one point we were the top in the country with about 25% women, which is very high for aerospace. Back at Kansas, I was the only girl who graduated that year in aerospace engineering. So we're definitely a minority, and anything where we can get a little bit of extra help and encouragement for women to be in engineering or to be able to complete their degrees in engineering is just a very positive thing. I mean, starting from a very young age, you have girls being encouraged to, play with dolls, and guys getting the model rockets. And so why aren't the girls getting the model rockets? Because there's nothing different. There's no reason why a female can't excel just as much in math, science, engineering as the boys. And definitely experienced that throughout school and the different internships that people would think you're not going to be as good or you're not as smart, but there's no reason to think that. So back when I was little, my dad and I used to go out and we would go camping with the Girl Scouts. And when everybody else went off to their tents, we would go out and set up a blanket and look at the stars. And he'd teach me the constellations, and we'd wait and watch for the meteors, because the meteors were my favorite thing. So we try and get out there for the meteor showers and the stars, and just something about looking up at the stars and wondering what's out there and how we can explore the universe is really how it all got started. Yeah, sometimes school and everything gets a little too stressful, and what I found was skydiving was one way that I could really get away from everything, because when you're going to jump out of an airplane, you can't be thinking about anything else. So anything at school, anything at home, you're so focused on what's going on just to be safe and accomplish what you're trying to do. And so through skydiving was one of the ways that I could get away from the other things and relax, if that makes sense, for jumping out of an airplane. There's definitely the whole being in an adrenaline situation, having to really focus on what you're doing and be safe and accomplish these things where it's hard to, you can't practice skydiving anywhere but when you're skydiving. And so, you might have 1 minute during this jump where you're in free fall and you're trying to accomplish something. And so it's sort of a unique thing where it might be the same as space. There's nowhere else that you can get this experience. When a lot of people think of skydiving, they think you're just falling out of the sky. But what they don't realize is that you can fly around. And a lot of people get the wingsuits and things like that. And it's really like you get to fly. And just to think that you'd be able to go even further up into space, it'd be a dream come true. I want to be one of the people who gets to go up into space. Ever since I was little and looking at the stars, I wanted to go up there. There's, I'm sure, no way to even compare the experience of being up in space and being able to look back down and just see the world from a totally different perspective. And to think that now I'm getting close to have that opportunity, since there are so many more people that are going to get to go into space, not just the 10 or 20 people chosen by NASA every couple of years. A lot of people are going to get to go into space, and I hope that I'm one of them. So in undergraduate, I was doing some research with a professor, one of the professors in the department, and I had heard through a friend about a program at NASA called the Reduced Gravity Student Flight Opportunities Program. It's a mouthful. But through this program, you come up with a project idea where you want to test something in microgravity, and it's something that you can't test on Earth. So it has to be justified to do the project in microgravity. And what I was trying to work on was a robotic arm, something like the Canadarm on the space station. So we were thinking about a different way to do a robotic arm that was more like a snake, so it had a lot of degrees of freedom. And I had been working on it, and my friend said we should apply for this program. So I got together a team, and I was the team lead for that, and we wrote a big proposal for NASA, and luckily got accepted to this program. We went for it. We went down to Houston and spent a week down there at the NASA facility, going through training for microgravity and finishing up our project, going through safety checks. And then the last 2 days, we got to fly in microgravity, which was quite an experience, very unique experience. So the microgravity portions are about 30 seconds long. And then for the next minute or so, it goes through some mixed gravity and then down to double gravity. And then they go back and do this parabola again. So I'm glad that it's not like that on Earth, because it's hard to lift your arm, it's hard to do much of anything. And it's hard on the body to go from 0 to double. And so that's why they call it the vomit comet, because a lot of people it doesn't work out so well. Luckily I was okay. It's great to see an organization like this. I hadn't heard of it until the Scholar Award came out, and then working with the women in Boulder where they did the local nomination, and I got to go to a couple of their events, and they were doing great things there. One of the events that I went to, they had invited these children in. This woman had adopted all of these children, and they were playing instruments for us, and it just seemed like every month they were doing something that was really important, reaching out to somebody. And then when I found out that at this convention there were going to be like 3,000 people or something, a couple thousand people, I was just so amazed that there are so many people who are out there participating and doing these great things. Yeah, we were just talking a minute ago. I was talking with one of the women, and they were saying something about girl power. And you really get that vibe when you come here, that everybody's so proud of what the organization is, and they're excited about what they're doing, helping other people, and just the fun part of it, that everybody gets to be together and have a good time and make friends and make these connections that are all across the nation. I'm definitely going to look up in the Seattle area. So I just moved up to Seattle about 1 day ago. And it's nice because it's one of these, having an organization like this, you can go somewhere and know that there's going to be somebody there that you're already going to have a connection with. So it makes me feel a little more welcome to know I'm sure I'll meet some people here at the convention that are from there, and then we'll have some friendly faces to know up in my new area. The surprise to go from not knowing the organization even existed, and hearing about it, and it was a long application, and there was, the thought in my head, I'm so busy, I don't have time for anything else, and just something about what the scholarship actually was, and who it was coming from was encouraging to put away those, that day, those couple hours to apply for this. And then when I heard that I'd gotten the local nomination, I was thrilled. And part of that process is that you go and you meet the members of the local chapter, and they do an interview. And the women that I met in Boulder were just so fantastic. They had me over for a little tea lunch, and we had such a great time just connecting in such a short period of time. And I was already so honored to be selected by them. And then when I heard about the national selection, I was thrilled again. And the member of the local chapter called me up and she was so excited and I was so excited. It was such a great connection to have with her. And having the award itself was so important to me because it's tough in graduate school financially, and to be able to not worry about financials so much, not worry about, okay, I need to go get a couple side jobs just so that I can pay my rent and feed myself, feed my dog, and to be able to focus on school, and not only school, but to spend that extra time, the limited extra time, but the extra time going out and then sort of paying it forward. Being able to go out and work with younger girls who don't really know anything about engineering or science, and to start spreading what I know and what I've been able to experience. So they gave me an opportunity and passed the opportunity along to the younger generation.